So, hello and welcome to Arts and Wellness. Oh my gosh, look at this one. He parked himself right there in the middle. I don't normally have it so low, but we're having to improvise. So let me move him along and adjust this slightly. Sit down. Sit. Sit. Good boy. Okay, so welcome. Hi, it's Amanda here. Welcome to Arts and Wellness Cafe. It is so good to see you. And as I say, we're just rolling with it because life can sometimes give you lemons. So let's make some lemonade. Yes? So again, if you watched last week's episode, I explained about my computer, but we just have to make do with what we've got. We've got lots of technology available to us, so we have to make the best. And so today I'm using my phone. That's why it kind of like looks a bit lower. But welcome and thank you for joining me. And if you're new here, sorry about that. But sometimes your pets can give you some laughter and are very humorous, and Cole is very humorous. And one thing I would say is be careful what you wish for, because one of my wishes before he came was that when we talked about a dog, but it was Sakani, my son, who really was really kind of adamant that he wanted a dog, and he didn't have a chance to have one, when he was younger. And so, yes, he was going to do this and this with the dog, and he was going to be full on looking after it. But then, as parents, we know, don't we? So, one of the things I wished for, I was just like, oh yeah, as I considered it, I thought, yeah, I'd like to have a dog that would sit at my feet in my studio. And Cole is just like, he's filled every if I sit down in my studio, he sits right behind my chair. It's just like, now I know I said I wanted a dog to sit at my feet, but at least give me a bit of room to maneuver my chair, because I've got one of these swivel chairs. So he sits so close, I can't even move back. So sometimes it can be like, really, Cole? Hey, really, Cole? So he's sitting down on the floor now. Anyway, so as I said, thank you for joining me. And the theme for this week, so I started out on my podcast talking about the word for the week was belief. And what I normally do in these sessions is to pull that word a bit more and talk about other issues. So if you're new, that's generally what it's about. But I would love you to check out some of the other episodes. I've been finding that I mean, when I even listen back myself, that there are some snippets of inspiration that I didn't even realise when you're talking, but some things you need to hear a second time and really kind of let it permeate your brain cells and just really reflect on it. And sometimes when you reflect on it, you see things from a different perspective, or it pulls up other things that you may not have, triggered at the time or whatever. So belief and thinking about how it relates to your creative walk, um, and what you think about yourself. And I was speaking to not even a colleague, speaking to somebody. I think it was last week, looking at what you believe about yourself. And when I first started out in my creative walk, I had initially wanted to go to uni and do an art degree, but I went and I did a complementary medicine degree, and straight out of school, was steered towards, it was just like, well, well, my head teacher said, well, Amanda, this is how she spoke, well, Amanda, I think you should, I think it's best that you leave and get a job. And it was just like, what are you talking about? And it was just like, that's not what I want to do. I want to study art. And when you think back, why do you think that, in your professional opinion, that's the only thing, the avenue for me? And so it's linked to racism. So it was a racist comment, there's no other reason, not even to look at, well, look at the things that you're good at, look at the things that you'd like to do, really talk to you. Back then, we had a careers counsellor, but again, they didn't really do much. They didn't say, okay, well, think about the things that you'd like to do. Let's look at your grades. Let's look at the things that you'd like to go and study further. And if you don't have the grades, there are maybe some other things that you can do in between. So anyway, I went and did a secretarial course, which then led on to 20 odd years of, secretarial work, and I eventually, my last 6 years was spent as an executive PA for an organisation, an HS organisation. Nice. Nice to see you nice. Hello, good afternoon, this is Nice, Amanda speaking, how may I help you? No, this is the National Institute for Health and Clinical Excellence, which is what it was before. How may I help you? And it's amazing when you think back at your career and you think back at the things that you used to do, and how, things are so different now. So I left in, we had a big reshuffle and loads of people were made redundant, and that was 2007. And from that time, I decided that I wanted to be an artist and started to pursue that. It was just like, you've held yourself back for so long because of the advice that you'd given, because you never thought you were good enough to go down that path. And that's where the belief comes in. So, and the other thing that was, that happened when I was doing what was then called O-levels, and then later called GCSEs, I was taking art and I did my examination, and for my exam I had done a sculpture, but they had then entered the sculpture in for the wrong exam, and so obviously I failed, because what I did was, and I don't even know how it happened. I really don't understand what happened there. Well, I do. It was entered for the wrong thing by the teacher. I had to pay to get it re-evaluated, and they then sent back and said no, and it was just like, but this has clearly been entered for the wrong exam. I had to pay £6, and back in those days, £6 was a lot of money. You'd like talking about, if you think, I mean, I can't really do the equivalent, but for a 15-year-old back in those days, it was a lot of money, when you haven't got an income coming in. You've got pocket money, your 50p pocket money. Anyway, so yeah, 2007, I decided, right, I want to be an artist. I want to start learning. So I did a trailer load of courses, and from that particular time, I said to myself that every year I would invest in myself and do a course. So you're continuing your professional development, and I still think that's important today. So I will, do a course, sign up for a course, support another artist, or buy a book that's course based, or you continuously learning new techniques, and that there's a filing cabinet in my brain that there's a fragment of the, well, you didn't do an art degree, so, and it's just like, well, I could have done. I've practically, the amount of things that I've learned and the amount of money that I've invested in my learning from that time, it's equivalent to. And obviously you've got to decide for yourself, you know, what's really important. And for me, you know, I think studying is important, and hence that's why I continue to learn and invest in my professional development. So I'm not going to give you advice as to say, well, should you do an art degree or shouldn't you do an art degree? That's not the basis of this discussion, but it's about what is it that you believe in yourself that you are able to do. And so I decided that I was just going to pursue, you know, external learning, and you know, so wherever I had the opportunity, wherever the opportunity arose, then I would, you know, pay for additional courses. And yeah, so as I say, there are loads of things which we can hold on to that we believe about ourselves that is not based on anything. Like I used to say, it's not based on anything because it may have been a comment that you heard when you was younger that you believe pertained to you, and you hold on to that, and you base all of your, you know, all of the things that you do from that point on this throwaway comment that somebody made, and they don't even think about it themselves now. So I had to, that idea of not being good enough, that idea of, oh, well, you didn't do an art degree. And I was just like, well, I've got a degree, you know, I know how to study. And I had to decide for myself what it is I wanted. And what it is I wanted or want has kind of evolved. You know, back then it was just like on my initial, oh yes, I want to be an artist. I mean, it took me years before I actually called myself an artist and felt comfortable with that. And as I say, I've just spent years and years and years in practice, years and years and years in, as I say, investing, and that's really important. So if you're thinking to yourself, you know, oh, I don't know what to do, I would say, you know, maybe look for courses if you want and see how they feel, you know, when you look at them, the criteria and things like that, and see whether you meet them. But also look at some of the courses that are available, look at the kind of area that you want to go in. So I wanted to go into, or found my way into arts and health, and looking at the way that art can impact on our health and well-being. And so I've done a lot of work, and I have a lot of experience of working with the elderly living with dementia and using art as a tool. So that was something that, you know, I learned firsthand. I was thrown in on the deep end, and I had to formulate 3 years worth of workshops to enable the participants of the workshop to blossom, grow, really enjoy themselves and get something out of it. And my brief at the end of each session was that they come out with something that they've completed. So that was actually that was really good for me, because it then gave you a focus, right? Okay, you know, we can still work on a theme that lasts a month, but at the end of each session we come out with something, so that when you finished, you know, like I used to have exhibitions and share their work, and you know, put their work up around the daycare centre so that they could see their work, and other people who didn't take part in the art workshop that particular week, or you know, for those particular sessions, could actually see the work. And it was nice for them to kind of almost enter into what was like a mini gallery in an unusual pop-up gallery, because it changed from week to week because of the work that we were doing, and but it meant that they were able to see new work if they weren't able, through family members or people who were caring for them, to go and see an exhibition. Then they had one there and there, there, and the work was by their fellow colleagues, their fellow, well, they weren't residents, but the fellow participants or other people who attended the daycare centre, and it was nice for the families as well. So and I stepped into that. I always saw the competition in the art world, and I didn't. I always use this example, like I didn't want to compare myself to Tracy Emin or what's his name, the one with the cow in formaldehyde. They're commanding millions of dollars or pounds for their work, and you just think, okay, I was doing really small pieces at the time, these small pieces of art, and I thought, I want to get more from it. I felt that there was more that you could gain from the art, from my perspective, because I didn't get anything from seeing that kind of art myself. I mean, other people have, but each to his own. So I felt that art could play a deeper role in our health and well-being. And as I say, I saw it firsthand with the elderly living with dementia. So I kind of I stumbled into it. Well, no, I didn't stumble into it, because I was looking after my mum who had dementia. She then went to the daycare centre, and selfish reasons, wanting to keep an eye on her, then thinking, okay, let me see if this is something that they'd be into. And the manager at the time, Helena, she was very forward thinking, always wanting to do things that would help the people who attended. And so she did even got local kids in, I wasn't part of the intergenerational art, but when they did a few sessions with the local school kids, and so it was a really good time. It was a really good time, and as I say, I was thrown into it. So it was just like I started to realise, actually, this is something really important. And the way I look at my art now is that all the things that I create is created for a reason. And sometimes I don't always understand how to express what this, say, a particular piece means, but I know that the colour, the texture, the image, the way that the thing is made up is going to touch somebody. Somebody is going to look at it and feel a particular emotion, and that is what I then kind of went into, the way that art impacts on health and well-being, the way that we can, as artists, share our work, but also the way that everybody should be able to have a way to do something creative. I think everybody can be creative. It is just identifying what that thing is for you. So I then had to start, when we think back to the word believe, I had to start believing in what I was doing, and I believe strongly about that, and about art and how art can impact us. And regardless of this fragment that sometimes still rattles around in the filing cabinet of my brain, my subconscious, I have to find ways to then say, and what I do is I keep a, what do I call it? It's like a success journal, but it's like all the things that happen. I can't remember what I called it, but so I just list the things, my achievements journal, and everything from big and small, and because we can sometimes forget about those things, and just we're doing it automatically. Because if you're somebody that needs approval from other people, or looks for approval from other people, and you don't get it, you then see everything that you accomplish and achieve, you don't see that as of value, and so you constantly are valuing yourself, and that was something that I also looked for, looking for approval, um, to make you feel of value. And it was, I had to remember or remind myself that um, you have to approve of yourself. You have to love yourself so much that it doesn't matter what anybody else says, And when I started to think about the role, my responsibility as an artist, as a creative, to share the word, to show up, to allow myself to listen, to be not only inspired, but use the tools that I have to not allow myself to um, not allow myself to be bogged down by what society says something should look like, and not compare myself to anybody else, because we're on different journeys and we're at different stages. So I don't find it odd. I understand, because I've probably done it myself. When somebody says, you look at your work and they say, oh, I wish I could draw like you, and you think to yourself, and I always say you can. You have to practice. That's all. What you're saying is that you don't want to put in the time that I've put, because it's like, over 20 odd years from, well, yeah, over 20 odd years in terms of my art journey, and I've been at it every day, and I'm doing something pertaining to creativity, art, and now teaching. I've been teaching for what, 5-6 years online, and sharing lessons and things like that, and doing YouTube, and for you to then get up and say, oh, I wish I could do it like you. Okay, yeah, I'm what's the word? That's a compliment, I guess. But on the flip side is, you got to put in the work. If you put in the work, you could be like you. You don't have to be like me. Um, but people are willing to put themselves down and say, oh, I'll never be able to draw like you, or I'll never be able to do it like that. And it's like, you don't have to draw like me. You have to learn how to express yourself, and allow that the allow what needs to come from you to come. So that's what I wanted to touch on today. I wanted to remind you that, and I'll put it in the description below, about the classes that are going on. My class just recently came up, my lesson on Creative Jumpstart, it was today, and I was making some doodle books. I show you how to make a little mini journal from a single sheet. There's no sew, just a bit of sticking, but glue stick, and yeah, it's really fun. It was really fun to make, and it's quite addictive. And so every time I was saying to somebody that's commenting, every time I see paper, or especially ones that I've kind of created, like as a background or whatever, or I just love the folding and then creating the journal. So it's a really simple, straightforward way to create a mini art journal, and you can make them different sizes. The one I make is A6? Yeah, A6 size, which you can carry around with you, and as I say, they're really quick and easy to make. The other class that's ongoing is Life Book, and there's already been some amazing teachers that have passed. So again, click on the link below and you'll be able to, find out more. And the One Badass Art Journal course starts on the 1st of February, but you sign up and you'll be able to check that out as well. And I've recently, I just added the creative, it's what is it, healing, creating, and I'll put it down below anyway. So it's another creative healing summit using the power of creativity and healing. And so that's going to be great, an interview coming up and other things. So belief, you have to start believing in yourself. You have to start believing that you can do something. And if you don't have the experience, then you gain the experience. You start where you are and you just take one step at a time, and before you know it, because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, time's going to pass anyway, so you might as well get on with it. So just to encourage you, and to maybe have a little reset, because if there's any kind of little, as I call them, remnants of things that are not true about you, then you need to overwrite them with some positive words, some positive messages, and look at how you're actually encouraging yourself, and again, think about some positive words that you can speak over your life, because the more you speak positive words about your life, the more you'll again see changes. I mean, if every day you're getting up and you're saying, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that and this and that's not good and that's not working, then it won't. You can't be saying those things and expecting good things to come. So you have to talk positive. You have to, encourage yourself, and you have to step out of your own way and get on with it. So, take care. I will see you soon. I'm going to also put another video here after this one, and it will just be a short one. And look forward to connecting with you soon. So, take care from me and Cole.